Netflix bringing us another generic heist movie with an A-list star attached, in this case, Kevin Hart. Let's talk about Lift. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new Netflix film Lift. You can see this streaming right now, and it features Kevin Hart as a big-time thief, and we'll get into the specifics of the film here in just a second. First, though, let me welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. We do movie and TV reviews on the channel here, and just about every day something new goes up. So there's always a lot of stuff to check out, and with that in mind, please consider subscribing, hit that notification bell, hit that like button, comment below. Share it on your socials. All that stuff, of course, helps the channel out. All right, so Lift. This is another of the long line lately of generic Netflix action, specifically heist movies. They've had a lot of these lately, and there's a few that have worked. In fact, there's a French series that they air called Lupin that I think really works. But these movies are all very, very cookie cutter. So let me explain the basic premise of this one. This is Kevin Hart. Like I said, he is a professional thief. He's got an Interpol agent ex-girlfriend played by Gugu Mbatha-Raw from The Morning Show Season 1, and she's, appeared in a lot of things. And they team up to steal $500 million in gold bullion, which is being transported on a passenger flight. And there's some NFT stuff involved. It's all very pointless and overly complicated, I think, for no reason. Well, there is a reason. I think it's to sort of deflect from the fact that not a lot of it makes a ton of sense. So, I think they're trying to throw a lot of things at you and hope that maybe you'll just sort of go along for the ride. Okay, I like Kevin Hart. He's funny. Although he's not overly funny in this. I would not even call this an action comedy. I mean, there's some jokes, I guess. Kevin Hart lands a few lines, but unlike some of the streamers' action heist movies, I wouldn't necessarily put this in the action comedy category. I think it's mainly just an action movie, and there's a couple of jokes, basically. But there's so much that they're just sort of pushing at you, and okay, let's NFTs. I don't even understand. I think they're sort of hoping that you also will not understand NFTs if you're watching. I mean, they sort of explain it a little bit. And at one point, Kevin Hart does say like, "Oh well, I know you think NFTs might be a fad, but I've got this one for you. Whatever." I don't know. It's just it's a lot of noise about nothing, because there's a lot of plot holes, I think, and so they're just kind of throwing it all your way. Who else is? Oh well, let's talk about the director. F. Gary Gray directed this movie, and he's got a lot of hits under his belt. He directed the remake of The Italian Job about 20 years ago. He directed one of the Fast and Furious movies. I think it was either 7 or 8. It was one of the later installments, but before they went into space. So it was either 7 or 8, and obviously that was a huge money maker. But he got his start in music videos, and specifically ones for people like Ice Cube, and so he also directed the movie Straight Outta Compton, which is about NWA. Great movie. But I think, much like the Fast and Furious franchise itself, especially in sort of the later installments, this movie just goes off the rails in so many different ways. But I think that's kind of what Netflix wants. It seems that every, I don't know, 2 months or so, they put out one of these action comedies or action heist movies, and they're all pretty much the same. You put a big A-list star, front and center, and Kevin Hart is a good one. He's worked, obviously, with Netflix before. He actually did a movie, I think it was last year, maybe 2022, with Woody Harrelson, and I want to say it was called Me Time. I would have to look, but it was also very generic and very terrible. And I love Woody Harrelson. There's not too much he does that I don't like, but boy, that movie was a stinker. And this one is as well. There's, a couple maybe of interesting action sequences, especially with the plane. Like there's one specifically where it's sort of like icing over and it has to kind of land, and so there's a couple interesting things to look at there, much like I'm sure F. Gary Gray did with the Fast and Furious stuff, because that's the meat and potatoes of that is still at the end of the day these big action sequences, even if it's not car racing anymore. So he's no stranger to that, and so here there's a couple of those. And look, Kevin Hart's fine. He's basically just playing Kevin Hart as a thief, except maybe not quite as funny. Maybe this is supposed to be a comedy. I just wasn't getting it, but I don't know. Even if something's not necessarily funny, I feel like I know if it's supposed to be funny. And it seems like this is Kevin Hart trying to be a little more, I don't know, menacing or something. It didn't work. In almost any way, shape, or form. But look, Netflix is probably going to get what they want. They'll get some eyeballs on it. It's been out a few weeks now, but I believe for a while it was towards the top of their top 10. I don't know if it's still there, but it will be forgotten certainly by year's end. When I tally my list and I see Lift, I'm gonna have to try and think, okay, what the hell was that? Because it's going to be so far in the review by that point, and it's just not memorable. So I leave Lift with a D. But if this is your thing, you can check it out now on Netflix, and I'll see you in a month or two for another one of these. But for now, that's it. Thanks for watching Dan Reviews It. Bye.